Hello everybody. Today I will be working on a Finnish soldier from the Winter War, 1939. This miniature is designed by Bill Thornhill and printed using a Mars 4 Ultra Resin 3D printer. I'll begin by painting the base using German camouflage black-brown. After we've given the base time to dry, I'll take a chocolate brown, followed by a tan earth, and I'll apply this via a dry brush. His face will be painted using Bugman's glue. For the uniform and greatcoat, I'm going to mix up 3 parts German grey to 1 part basalt grey. You want to apply this in multiple thin layers to build up the opacity of the paint. I'll mix up 3 parts German grey to 1 part German camouflage dark green. This will be applied to the helmet. I'll mix up an even mix of German camouflage black brown and flat brown. This will be applied to the bottom portion of the Pizza boot, as well as his belt, ammo pouches, the strap on the helmet, and the strap for the canteen. I'll now take flat brown and apply this to the rifle. Using chocolate brown, I'll apply this to the top portion of the Pixie boot, as well as the wood on the grenade, the bread bag, and his rifle sling. For the miniature's canteen and gloves, I'll mix up German camouflage black-brown and field grey World War II in a 50-50 mix. Use German camouflage dark green for the head of the hand grenade. Lastly, take a black of your choice and we'll apply this to all the steel details on the miniature. After we've given our base coats time to dry, approximately an hour, I'm going to take Gravelord Grey, a speed paint by Army Painter. I'll apply this as a black lining. Run this into any creases, anywhere the colors change, and deep folds of the miniature. I'll also run this into the eye sockets to aid with the eyeballs later on. For the eyes, I'll use ivory. I'll use a fine brush and apply little lines into the eye sockets. I'll then use black, applying the pupils to the eye. I then outline the eye using the same black. Once satisfied with the eyes, we're going to take our base coat of Bugman's Glow and reapply it over the face, cleaning the face up. We'll also use this to push the black lining back. We're now going to move on to the layering phase of this miniature. We will begin with his greatcoat and uniform by reapplying our 3:1 mix of German grey and basalt grey, cleaning up the base coat, pushing back the black lining, and further solidifying our color. The base coat will act as our shadow layer, and from here we will build up our color by gradually adding thin layers of paint, each layer covering less surface area as the previous. Thinning our paint will give it a subtle translucent quality, so each coat applied will give a gradual transition to the mid-tone, then proceeding to our highlight. For this stage, I'm at approximately 2 parts German grey to 1 part basalt grey. We will keep adding basalt grey to our mixture. At this stage, I'm at approximately 50-50 mix of German grey to basalt grey. Adding more basalt grey to the mix, I'm now at a 1 part German grey to 2 parts basalt grey. This will be the last of the transition layers until we reach our mid-tone. I'm now at a pure basalt grey, and this will be our mid-tone color. Now, we will apply our highlight layers. This will be applied the same way as before, with the addition of feathering some of the transitions. Here, I use a 50-50 mix of basalt grey to Army Painter's uniform grey. We will thin down and apply the paint as before, then we will quickly switch to a damp brush and pull the paint down using a back and forth motion. For this layer shown, I'm now at a pure uniform gray. For the final highlight, add dark sea gray to uniform gray in a 3:1 mix. Apply this mixture top down, catching the edges of the folds. Now we'll work on the miniature's face. I like using Citadel's skin tone triad of Bugman's Glow for the shade, a mid-tone of Cadian flesh tone, and finishing with Kislev flesh for the highlights. We will work through each paint, including a transition layer between, consisting of a 50-50 mix. Now we are going to take Cadian flesh tone and mix in a hint of Luftwaffe uniform World War II, applying it to the jawline, giving a 5 o'clock shadow appearance. Next, we will take Caribord Crimson and run this into his mouth. Mix up Caribord Crimson with Cadian flesh tone, thinning to a glaze. We will apply this mix over the cheeks and nose, apply multiple layers of this glaze to build up the color. Mix up Cadian flesh tone and pink horror. This mixture will be applied to the tongue. Finally, we will use stone gray to pick out his teeth. For the bread bag, I mix up 2 parts chocolate brown to 1 part khaki. This will also be applied to the rifle's sling. We'll keep adding khaki to the mix as we layer up. Now we're at a pure khaki. We'll add German camouflage beige World War II to our khaki. Here we're at approximately 2:1 mix. We'll take 2 parts chocolate brown and mix in 1 part cork brown. This will be applied to the top portion of the peak suit boot. Our next layer will be an even mix of chocolate brown and cork brown. We'll start adding Iraqi sand into our mixture. This is now an even mix of chocolate brown, cork brown, and Iraqi sand. Add more cork brown and Iraqi sand to the mixture. We're now at 1 part chocolate brown, 2 parts cork brown, and 2 parts Iraqi sand. For the highlight, we'll add more Iraqi sand. We're finishing off with a mix of 1 part chocolate brown, 2 parts cork brown, and 3 parts Iraqi sand. For the red leather details on the miniatures, such as the belt, chin strap, and the bottom of the boots, we'll reapply a 50-50 mix of German camouflage black brown and flat brown. While layering up, keep adding flat brown to the mix. Here I'm at a 1:2 ratio. Eventually, we'll end up at a pure flat brown. For our highlights, we'll gradually add red leather to our mix. At this point, I'm at 2 parts flat brown, 1 part red leather. Proceed adding red leather until you reach your desired brightness. This will be applied more of an edge highlight. Now, I will take Nuln oil and I'll apply this as a glaze over just the belt and chin strap. While we have brown paint on our palette, I will begin working on the rifle. I will first clean the rifle with a flat brown. Next, I will mix mahogany brown into the flat brown in an even mix and apply this with thin little lines. After, we will repeat this process with pure mahogany brown, and then again with an even mix of mahogany brown and orange brown. Using the same method we used to paint the rifle, we will paint the wood on the stick grenade, first by cleaning with chocolate brown, next applying beige brown, and then finally applying tan earth. For the gloves and the felt of the Canteen, I will clean up using a 1-part German camouflage black brown and a 2-part German field grey World War II mixture. I will then layer up by gradually adding German field grey World War II until I am at a pure color. For my highlight layer, I will gradually mix in stone grey. Moving on to the helmet, we will begin by reapplying our 3 parts German grey to 1 part German camouflage dark green mixture. We will proceed to layer up, as usual, by gradually adding more German camouflage dark green to this mixture with each layer. The difference here is we will be applying each layer without giving the previous coat time to dry. This will allow the paint to blend into each other. I've found this to be a good way to achieve a natural looking highlight on smooth round surfaces, such as helmets. While looking up Finnish uniforms for reference pictures, I found some troops would paint the death's head on their helmet. While I unfortunately didn't record this step, I used stone grey, painted a circle midway between the 2 bolts on either side of the helmet. I then painted a little U underneath for the jaw. Then I ran a line down to the crest of the helmet. Next, I ran 2 lines across for the ribs. I highlighted the bone by mixing in a hint of ivory. Lastly, apply German camouflage dark green for the eyes and nose. For the head of the grenade, we will use the same wet blending technique as the helmet, this time with German camouflage dark green and Russian uniform World War II. We will take a black to clean up the steel details of the miniature. I accidentally got a little black on the cuff. This is an easy fix if you work quick enough. Take a damp brush and rub away the spillage, then with a clean dry brush absorb the leftover moisture. Leave the area to dry. I plan on using a snow effect. Since I haven't worked with this product before, I opted to give a heavy dry brush of off-white with a hint of sky gray to the base, in the case I don't get complete coverage. I also dry brush the figure's greatcoat to weather it down a bit. After dry brushing, clean up the figure where required. In this case, I just had to touch up the toe of the boot. We will now use gunmetal for the steel details on the miniature. Run this along the high points, leaving the black paint in the creases. After giving your paint time to dry, I recommend varnishing your miniature. I use a gloss varnish for protection, then I apply 2 coats of AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish. For the snow effects, I will be using Citadel's Valhalla Blizzard. I scoop up a glob with a hobby spatula and spread the snow effects onto the base. I will then wet the spatula and run it over the top to smooth the snow out. Once done, I wet my finger and run it along the base, removing the excess snow. Using an old brush, I gather chunks of the snow effect and apply it to the miniature, focusing on the bottom of the greatcoat, the shoulders, and the helmet. I then wipe away what is in the brush and dab at the globs, breaking them up into finer particles. Once everything has had time to cure, I take a dry brush and brush away the particles that did not affix to the miniature. This is how I would paint a Finnish Winter War soldier. Thank you for joining me in painting this miniature. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, as I plan on creating more of these painting videos. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.